Hello, teacher. How is quarantine treat you? We hope well. Our team is integrated by Jair Barrera, Lisette de la Rosa, and Denise Olorio. We are going to talk about Sor Juana Ines de la Cruz, one of the greatest figures in Mexican letters. She was born November 12, 1648, in the hacienda of San Miguel, Neplanta, located in Mexico State. Her mother was Isabel Ramirez de Santanilla, a Crowley, and her father, Pedro Manuel Díaz Baje, the Vizcaíno, so her name before becoming a nun was Juana Díaz Baje y Ramirez. She grew up with her maternal grandfather, Pedro Ramirez, in the hacienda of Panoyan. Hardly when she was 3 years old, she knew read. I think that's amazing, but not only that, but also when she was 7 years old, she asked to be taken to the university. It's a crazy.
6. On the death of her grandfather, her mother not only sent Juana to the capital, but also to live at the home of his sister, Maria Ramirez, wife of the wealthy Juan de Mata. There Sor Juana studied in 20 lessons with the bachelor Martín de Olivas, only thus being enough to master the language, which is demonstrated in the mastery of several of her works, especially in Christmas carols. Her response to Sister Filotea de la Cruz de Ia. She studied the law, and her obstinacy to learn was such that she came to the self-causer method of cutting her hair to set at the line, for her to grow again, to have learned already something she one must be it.
Sor Juana read aloud through her life, both Roman and Greek and Spanish classical authors. In 1664, Sor Juana entered the court as Lady in Waiting of the Virrein Leonor Maria Correto, Marchioness of Mancera, to whom she dedicated some sonnets with the name of Laura. The Virrey, admitted, brought together 40 lawyers of all faculties to submit her to an unequal examination of which, of course, she emerged triumphant. Leaving the sages admitted for having wisely answered every question, argument and reply that they made to her. For a week or lies, Sor Juana decided to enter a convent because, according to herself, for the total denial I had of marriage, it was the most decent thing I could choose in the matter of the security of my salvation. For the reason, it could be said that Sor Juana cared so much about her salvation that she didn't want to have a family. She first entered the convent of San José de las Carmelitas Descalzas in 1667, but left after 3 months, but due to the severity of the rule and the order rigor. Later, she entered the much more flexible order of the Hieronymus in the convent of Santa Paula, where she finally professed on February 24, 1669.
In the convent, where she lived the rest of her life, Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz did trace both, account and archivist, but more than anything, she devoted herself to make both, to study and reading. Inside her cell, she came to have more than 4,000 manuscripts, musical instruments, maps, and mystery devices. She got to have depth knowledge of so many signatories as astronomy, mathematics, language, philosophy, mythology, history, theology, painting and cooking, among many others. Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz was one of the women more important in the history of Mexico. The thing more like me of her is all her beautiful poems. I love them. Particularly, my favorite is Detente sombra de mi bien esquivo. This poem talks about longing for love. It's pretty nice.
Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz and her famous literary work. Even within the cloister, Sor Juana was constantly called to make commission works. In 1689, she was commissioned to make the triumphal arch upon arrival in the capital of the Marquesas de la Laguna and Condes de Paredes, a work that was successfully completed and was titled Neptune Allegorical. Sor Juana won 2 prizes in the university contest of Parthenian Troupe, and she was constantly charged with Christmas carols for religious festivities, in addition to the significant amount of sonnets, rondillas, decimas, silvas, and lyrics that she constantly composed. By Sor Juana Ines de la Cruz was Inundación Castálida, which brought together a good part of her poetic work and was published in Madrid, rather than in New Spain. For a long time, Sor Juana had the major problems in her convent life until, as Octavio Paz affirms, she wrote one more letter. It was published with a long title of A Denagogic Letter from Mother Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, a professed religious veil and chair in the very religious convent of San Jerónimo that prints and dedicates to Sister Filotea de la Cruz, herself her amateur scholar in the convent of the Holy Trinity of Puebla de Los Angeles, and was criticized by a sermon of the Portuguese Jesuit Antonio de Vieira, a very famous theologian of the time. What I like about Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz were her options, her way of seeing the world, which made her stand out before too many people to become who she was. And I sincerely believe that she had a life full of success and achievements.
This criticism had their consequences even when its publication was carried out by the aforementioned Sor Filotea, who was none other than the Bishop of Puebla, Fernandez de Santa Cruz, who finally, henceforth recognizing her and advising her to dedicate herself to less profane and holy matters. The whole affair ended with Sor Juana was forced to get rid of both her library and her musical and mathematical instruments. It was not only enough for her to do this, but they also forced her to dedicate herself exclusively to the convent. Sor Juana died on April 17, 1695, infected with the epidemic that struck the convent of Santa Paula. What I like most about Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz is that she has her goals so clear that she knows what she wants to do. But I don't only consider Sor Juana as a woman with decision, but also as an intelligent woman, independent and capable of excelling in any field, for which I admire her a lot. And the more I read about her, the more I'm fascinated and inspired by her work. Thank you very much for your attention. We hope you like this video with the history of Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, and that you have been as fascinating as we are with the life of this brilliant and extraordinary woman. Bye-bye.